system which focuses more on skill and the ability of an employer to really absorb an employee's cost and bringing them to the United States of America, because essentially, in 2023, when we were looking at some of the numbers, there were 4,83,000 registrations, and there are only 85,000 of these visas every year. So the US is also in a way struggling to manage the inflow of people. Your thoughts on the same?
US is an independent sovereign nation. So I'll not lecture them on how they will decide how to give their visas and who to let in and who not to let in. But let's just look into what is really happening. What is happening is that there was an unsaid agreement between the US and the rest of the world in terms of talent being taken into the US, based on which plans had been made, which are long-term plans by students, by people, by workforce, and by those who have already chosen to move into US. Now, if the government of US decides to change that, it can't be a knee-jerk reaction. It has to again be a 10-year plan. By trying to move things overnight, this is a massive human tragedy being unfolded. And some of it is what we just heard from the panelist Purnima Nath. Clearly, this is not acceptable. In today's day and age, this is equivalent to having a warfare without firing the bullets. More importantly, it's going to have a significant effect on the Indian economy. Let's not belittle that. Obviously, we must put up a brave face, and we will continue to do that. And we'll weather this too, as we have weathered many other things thrown at India. But in addition to it, what will also happen is that the US will find it itself to become significantly uncompetitive. Where the US could throw 100 engineers at a problem earlier, they'll be able to throw only 10 engineers, compared to which China will be throwing 1,000 engineers at the same problem. It's only a matter of time that the US will become less competitive in terms of technology and therefore in terms of economy and its heft and its global influence. By trying to be insular and by trying to say us versus them, where us itself is not defined, as again was mentioned by the panelists, that where does even the president of the US come from? And there seems to be a term for every single person of origin in US. There is African Americans, there is Asian Americans, there is also Native Americans. But when it comes to European Americans, it's very glibly called as Caucasians. Why are they not called European Americans? Everybody else has a label. But when it comes to European Americans, they're suddenly called Caucasians. Now, these word plays are important because America is a land of people who came from outside of America. The natives had been wiped out and has been repopulated. The whole world has an equal access to it. And by changing rules suddenly in a knee-jerk reaction, it is devastating to multiple economies and, more importantly, multiple human lives. It is not something which can be condoned.
Okay, all